President and founder of the Health Freedom Defence Fund USA. Thank you so much, Leslie.
Holly, thank you, and thank you to everybody else who is here and who is fighting the good fight to defend our freedoms, our liberties, our national sovereignty, and everything that we hold dear, because this is truly a fight for humanity. What is at stake is literally the future of humanity. President Ronald Reagan, whether you think he was a good man or a bad man, said that one of his biggest fears was that over time, a controlling authoritarian socialist state would be introduced and foisted upon the world under the guise of health. It's very clear that when any leader in the world obtains too much power, it's almost impossible for the people to push back against that. We know from history that when industries obtain too much power, they then prey on an unwitting public. In the United States, the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act was signed into law in 1986. And since that law was introduced, which provided protection from any liability, financial or legal, for the vaccine makers, the vaccine schedule in the United States has tripled. We must pay attention to history in order to understand our future, right? We know that we repeat it if we don't. We know that when government leaders and industries obtain too much power, it is used against us. And that is what is happening now. The World Health Organization, under the guise of public health management, wants to usurp power from each and every one of our nations and from each and every one of us by implication. This is why I started the World Freedom Declaration, but I want to make it very clear to everybody who's watching and listening that this World Freedom Declaration, which you can find at worldfreedomdeclaration.org, please sign it. It was a collaboration amongst all of the people on this call and dozens of organizations. Children's Health Defense, my group, Health Freedom Defense Fund, the Solarity.com or Solarity Incorporated, Stand for Health Freedom, the World Council for Health, Doctors for COVID Ethics, and many other groups. Over 4 dozen organizations signed on as signatories, with hundreds more. I think it's about 500 more organizations signing on as well. And then we've had nearly 75,000 signatures. But we urge every citizen of the world to go to worldfreedomdeclaration.org and sign on. And the reason for that is simple. The World Health Organization and all those who represent us at the World Health Organization need to know that we are watching, and that even though they may not be directly accountable, we will hold them accountable. It is imperative that every citizen of the world sign this, because if we get millions of signatures, we can take it to our honest public servants and ask them in each of our nations to stand with us in defense of our health freedoms and our rights, to stand with us in defense of our national sovereignty. It is a tool not just to get names, but to garner publicity and attention from those who serve us. It is very clear that in the last couple of years, those who pretend to serve us do not serve us but another master. But it is through this kind of international collaboration with all of these groups and millions of global citizens that we can come together and use our collective voice to pressure those in power to do our bidding, not the bidding of special interests or out-of-control groups like the World Health Organization. Everyone needs to understand that although many of the amendments proposed have been tabled, they are not gone. The pandemic treaty will come back. It's still being considered and negotiated. And there are all sorts of mechanisms in these treaties and the international health regulation proposed amendments which would accord extraordinary power to the World Health Organization, such that they would have a compliance committee which would be responsible for enforcing what happens in your nation. Let's be clear. If these things go through, the World Health Organization is an unelected, unaccountable body. It will have blanket authority to define a pandemic, to assess when one is happening, to enter your country to tell you that there is something happening, and then to insist and direct how the response is conducted. Individual nations, individual regions will not have a say. The documentation used to say explicitly that the World Health Organization would confer together with the individual nation in question, but that language has been stricken from the documents. So I don't want to belabor this point, and I don't want to reiterate what so many have said, but this is a threat to your bodily sovereignty. It is a threat to every citizen on the planet. If you want some unelected, unaccountable bureaucrat who cannot be sued and is not financially or legally liable for anything they do to direct your life, then go ahead, go back to sleep. If, however, you want to stand together with us in defense of these ideals, which I hold dear, and I know billions of people around the hold dear, then please sign worldfreedomdeclaration.org and stand with everyone on this call and all of us who are opposing the tyranny that is being attempted on each and every one of us. Thank you very much.